Alright, so this is going to be the sort of introduction to episode 7. So today I'm going to show you how to add in different weapons as well as cloning these weapons into your inventory, which should be the final product by the end of the video, where we have 4 different blocks, which this one clears all your weapons, and these ones give you the dagger, katana, and the fist. And as you can see, whenever it gets added to your player, gives you the weapon model too, and if you clear them, they get destroyed. So let's give me fist and the katana. You see the katana gets added, and the dagger also gets added. And we also worked on transitioning between animations. So you see if we're running and we equip the dagger, then it changes, as well as the katana, it changes as well. And if we unequipped everything, you'll see that the animation just changes to the default. And we also worked on adding in different slash effects and sounds based on the weapon you have. So for example, your fist, so you just your normal hit sound, but if you switch to dagger, then you have a little dagger sound. So similarly, I said dagger earlier and then sword, and similarly your dagger will have a dagger sound. So there's going to be a lot of mini edits in this video, as well as me addressing some bugs that I saw in the comment sections from previous videos. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video, and please leave a like, subscribe, because I do put a lot of effort into these videos and I'd really appreciate it, and see y'all in the video. Alright, welcome to episode 7. So this is probably going to be the last episode before the end of the series, which is going to be episode 8, marking the end of this. But in this episode, we're going to be focused on adding in 2 new weapons, or adding multiple weapons if you want to. But in this video, the 2 weapons we're going to be adding are the sword and the dagger. And all of the animations that I have for y'all will be in the description, so if there's any issues with the animations not loading or anything like that, just comment down and ask for help. And yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is we want to duplicate the fist tool. So you'll notice that in all of... So first off, if we look up fist, you'll see that the 2 main scripts that are handling fist are the WeaponData fist and the weapons.fist in our systems folder, as well as the fist tool. So we're going to want to duplicate the tool first, and let's call this sword, like so. And we will open ToolLoader, and you'll see that we still have the assets animation.fist. So let me show you how I organize the animations, which it should look something like this. So we have our idle and our run animations that contain sword and dagger corresponding, as well as the new animations folder, which are just organized like this. So we're gonna want to load the sword animations like so. Let's exit out of that. Now that we duplicated that, we can also duplicate the weapons fist module and call this sword, like so. And we'll check for anything in here called fist, like so. So you see that if you see fist, we'll just change this to sword. Oops. And then we will change this to sword. So the reason this works is because the corresponding animations are also called sword. And then so you see a sword that swings the L1, like so. Because that's how we created or loaded the animations in our animations module, like so, because we split the string. Now going back, let's go ahead and change all of these values. This is just the name of the module. Another thing I forgot to mention is the sounds. So we also have a similar thing, so dagger and sword, like so. And we also want to add this to the shared weapon data. So we duplicate this, we can change this to sword, like so. And you see block damage, we can keep that the same if we want. And then now we can play the game. You see that if we equipped, you'll see that the animation starts playing, and you see the run, like so. However, you'll notice something really funny. There is absolutely no sword model. So yeah, we're gonna need to fix that. Another thing I'll fix is you'll see how the animation abruptly stops. In order to fix that, we can just change out the fade time. Like so, we can change this to, let's say 3, and we can change this to 3. As well as going down here to our animations, and we can change this to 3 as well. So we can change this to 3 and 3. Now we play the game, you'll see that the animations have a slow fade in and they don't just abruptly stop. There we go. And you'll see that if we run. Alright, now we can add in the sword model. So in the resource that for y'all, I have both of the weapon models in here. So we can duplicate this folder and then we can just parent this to the assets.weapons, and we'll just call it weapons folder. And then in our sword, we can now create or we can clone these two sword models. So this is when the sword is going to be on your back or unequipped, and this is going to be when your sword is equipped. So Roblox gives you two functions. It gives you tool.equipped and it gives you tool.unequipped. Like so. So first off, we want to do is we want to actually create or clone these models beforehand. So we can say local back model and we can say local equipped model, like so. And then we can go over here and we can reference the weapon models, weapons, and we can say assets.sword we can say weapon models .sword.swordback clone, and then we want to weld this to the torso. So say back model.weld.part1 is equal to our character.HumanoidRootPart, like so. And we just want to parent this to the player. And the same thing for this. We want to weld this to the right arm because that's the arm that's going to be equipped when the player starts attacking. Equipped model.weld.part1 is equal to character.humanoid or character right arm. We can say equipped model.parent is equal to character. And that should be good. So if we play the game, you'll see that our sword model is on the back, but you'll see that we would need to make this equipped model transparent. So in order to do that, we can just say, make a function up here called toggle equipped, and we can say boolean. So we can say, or we call this is equipped. So it is equipped, then we want to make the back model transparent and equipped model visible. Otherwise, we'll want to make the back model visible and equipped model transparent. So we can go over here and we can say for underscore comma v and back model get descendants to, and we can check if it's a v is a base part or v is a mesh part, or v is a part, or v is a union operation. Then we can say v.transparency is equal to 1. As for the equipped model, we can just set all of these to 0, like so. And similarly to this, we can just say 0 and we can say 1. So we can run this, we can say toggle equipped false because it's not equipped. We're going to say toggle equipped true, toggle equipped false, like so. Now if we play the game, you will see that our weapon model is not visible. If we equipped it, you see that it is. And of course, the animations work now. Like so. If we change it, you'll see that the animations are good. Like so. Alright. Next up, we want to add in the dagger. So we'll do the same thing. We will duplicate this. And then we will also check for anything called sword. We'll change this to dagger. And then we will duplicate our weapon data and change this to dagger as well. We will create a tool called Dagger. And here we just want to do a similar thing, but instead we'll say Dagger, and we'll say Dagger back, Dagger equipped, and then that should be good for that. And we also need to change the animation so it loads all of them. So that should be pretty much it for the dagger. Oh, let's see what the problem is with this. Ah, okay. It's because the models are all different, so we need to account for that. Because you'll see that dagger we have a primary part, but in here we only have a weld. So we need to actually go in the primary part and then weld this. So in here we'll just say dagger or back model dot primary part dot handle dot weld. Part 1 equals our humanoid root part, and in here we'll just weld this to the right arm, like so. So we'll say dot primary part dot handle, or no, dot weld at part 1, and then we'll say dot weld dot part 1, like so. If we play the game, let's see, primary part dot weld. Let's see. Ah, okay, we didn't set the primary part in here, that's why. So we want to set this to that, and that should be good. Now if we play the game, you will see that we have both of our animations or our weapon models in. We see that it looks kind of weird when we're running, because it's welded to the humanoid root part. Typically in Roblox, or just always in Roblox, the humanoid root part is different from the torso. Because you see, this is the torso, but the humanoid root part sort of is in place the whole time. You see that it doesn't move along with the torso. So we just want to weld both of these to the torso. So we'll say character.torso, and then we will also say sword or dagger, and we'll change this to torso. Like so. Now if we play the game, you'll see that the weapon actually follows the character now. If you equipped it, you'll see that this works, and the run works. And if we change it, you'll see that the fist animation works. And we change it to sword and dagger, and you see that they change, as well as the animations also work now. Like so. Now, another thing we want to add in is the hit reactions, because you see that when the player gets hit, there's no animation when they get hit. So I also have that linked in the description with all the animations. But in here, it's just sword.hitreactions.12345, like so. So if we go to our hit types and we go to default, we can make them play the animation. So we'll copy this, or we'll copy the BlockBreak line right here, and we will go over here and play the animations. So we will say, instead of character, we can say weaponUsed weaponUsed .HitReactions, dot, and then we want to toString the current combo string number that we're on, like so. Or we can go over here to local reaction animation, change it to that instead of BlockBreak, just for variable purposes. We don't want it saying BlockBreak when it's really not. And we can say local assets. We can say assets.animations dot weaponUsed, and then we can say HitReactions toString combo string number, like so. And then this should work now. So if we play the game, you'll see that the HitReactions do play. So let's dash over here, like so. And if we switch to this, it works. Now, another thing I want to notice or mention for y'all is, if you recall in the previous video, I was saying that you can add in cool effects based on the weaponUsed string. So in this case, I'm gonna add a slash effect, a custom slash effect based on what weapon you have. And as well as over here, I'm going to change these sounds to work based on the weapon used. So we can say to or weapon used dot dot dot. Oops, like so, weapon used dot 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 hit. Because the sounds corresponding to this are also, you have fist dot hit and then your number, like so. Similarly, we'll go over here to our blocked and we'll change this to that as well. Weapon used dot dot dot, like so. And I believe in BlockBreak there's nothing for it, yeah. So now you'll see that the sounds actually update based on what weapon you're using. So for example, if we go over here, we'll see that we have a normal punch sound, but if we switch to sword, you see that now the sounds are updated. And with Dagger, they're also updated now as well. Another thing I want to note for y'all is that each weapon sort of has a different swing cooldown, because the way we scripted the system is that all of these weapons are reliant on how long the animation is, like so, because you see that animation played out length. So realistically, the Dagger should be significantly faster than the fist or sword, because it's a really versatile and agile weapon. But if you want to change the length of the animation, you can just change it within the animation editor to make it faster. But now, if we go to hit types and we go to default, we can add in a new hit effect. So we can say over here weapon used, and we will go over here to client effects.default hit. Now here we can say if weapon used equals fist, then we do the normal hit effect. So we can go over here and do that. Otherwise, we can say else if weapon used equals let's say sword, or weapon used equals dagger, then we can do a different hit effect. So you see in effects, in core effects, I have two different type of effects. So we can just copy and paste this code and we can say core effects and then just weapon used dot 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 slash effect and close that. And that should clone it based on what type of weapon we have, like so. So now if we play the game, you will see that we have a slash effect rather than a normal hit effect. So let's equip our fist. You'll notice that it's still normal, but if we equip our sword, it has a new slash effect now. Similarly with our dagger, see that works. And another thing we want to add is let's see. I want to introduce to y'all ClickDetectors, a brief overview of what those are. So we will add a part in here, and we'll just call this equip sword or something like that. We'll call this equip sword, And then over here, we'll call this, let me turn off the smooth. All right, and over here, we can call this equip dagger. And we can duplicate this and call this equip fist, like so. Now, we want to make sure that we anchor these like so. And let's just change the color so we know what each one is. Now, we can add something called a click detector in here, which, hence the name, it just checks whenever you click on something. So we add a script in here. We can reference the click detector, like so, script.parent, because that's what the click detector is. It's parent or it's a child. The script is a child of click detector, so we can do that. Click detector.mouse click. And you'll see that it gives us a parameter called player inside, which we can use. So player. Now, we can actually give the player a dagger. So let's go ahead and move all of these sort of weapons that we have into ServerStorage. So let's go ahead and just add a folder in here called weapons. And then we can parent these to here. So the main reason I'm doing this is because in most games, you don't automatically spawn with a certain weapon or not. Typically, you have to buy it through like maybe gold or something, pay like 1,000 gold for a sword or a dagger. So this is sort of a way to replicate that, which you clone the weapon whenever you buy it. So we can go over here and we can say local character equals player.character, and then if character then. So first off, we want to check if the player already has this weapon equipped. So we also want to check for the backpack. And we can say this is a backpack instance. And this is a model. And then now we can say if character find first child, let's say dagger. Then we want to return because we already have a dagger equipped. Or backpack find first child dagger, then we want to return. Otherwise we'll clone it, so we can just say game.serverstorage.weapons.dagger clone. Parent is equal to our backpack, like so, and this should work. Similarly, we can just duplicate these click detectors into each weapon or each part, and then obviously we have to change this to fist, and then we have to change this to sword. So sword, and we can also change this to sword and sword. So now if we play the game, you'll notice that we have nothing equipped. However, you can still run, you can still dash and things like that. However, if we go over here and we equipped our dagger or our sword, which is this, you'll notice that the model automatically gets added, which is what we want. And if we equipped it, you'll see that we have our animation. Like so. And now, let's say we want to equip our dagger, which is right here. We can equip it, and then it will clone. And if we equipped it, you see the animations work. We equipped our sword, unequipped, it works. Now we go to fist, and you notice that the animation also works. So that's good. Now another thing we want to do is we want to, what if the player sells their item or it gets destroyed? So let's add another part here called clear tools or clear weapons. And then here we can just say we want to loop through the character first. So for underscore comma tool question mark, because we don't know if it's a tool or not, and character get children do. So we can say if tool is a tool, then we want to destroy it. Similarly, in the backpack, we want to do the same thing. So tool is a tool, then tool destroy. Like so. Now, we want to make a way for the welded models to the player to also be destroyed. So we can make a script in here called ToolHandler, like so, or yeah, ToolHandler. I want to note that this ToolHandler is different from this ToolLoader, because essentially what this ToolHandlers do is check whenever a tool gets destroyed from the player or their backpack, and we want to destroy anything that's associated with that. So we'll call it ToolHandler, and we'll establish our variables. And we can say local function player added. And then we can say player, which is, we know it's going to be player. Players.player added, connect function, player added. Now, we want to wait for the player to load, right? So we can say if player.character, then. Otherwise, we'll just wait for the player to load. And then now we want to get their backpack. Equals player with a child backpack. And we also want to, let's see. And we also want to make a table called stored items. Like so. The reason for stored items is essentially what the script will be doing is checking if a new tool is added to the backpack or the character. And stored items will cache those tools or store them because we don't want a new connection to be made that checks for when the tool is destroyed every time the same tool is added to the player. So the stored items table will store that item to ensure that we don't make a new connection every time. So we can make a function called local function child added, which is going to be an instance. And we can say if it's a tool, then if it's not found in stored items, then we want to create a new connection. So child is equal to child.destroying, because we want to check if it's when it's destroying. And we'll say stored items child disconnect, because we want to disconnect this connection, and we want to set it to no. And then we can say, we can add a print statement to see if it's actually being destroyed. So child player comma item destroyed, like so. And now we can get out of this whole function, and we can say backpack that child added connect child added, and we can say for underscore comma child in backpack get children do, and we can say child added. So what this is doing is that it's checking for when an item is added to the backpack in order to run this whole function up here. Or if there's already items in the backpack, it will run the function as well, so normally. And in here we will do this, get players do, and also do player added. As mentioned in the previous video, this just checks or does a double check for if a player is added or when the player is already in the game. So if we exit out of here and we play the game, and we go over here to equip our dagger, you see that our dagger is in here. And then if we click on clear tools, you see that the item's destroyed, but the dagger model is still there. So using this sort of print statement right here, we can destroy any models related to the dagger. And then also in here we can, yep, that should be good. And we can destroy, make a comment, we can say destroy related, destroy items / models related to the child. So in this case, the name of our weapons are dagger back, dagger equipped, sword back, sword equipped. So we can actually make an attribute for all of these called weaponModel, and we can set this to true. And then in here we can say for underscore comma model and character, or player.character get children do. We can say if model get attribute weaponModel equals true, then we can destroy it. So this is sort of just like a shortcut to destroying the items by using attributes. And that should work now. So if we get out of this and we play the game, and let's go ahead and just equip all of our weapons that we have, like so. And if we clear, you see that all the items are in fact destroyed, and that's what we want. And we equipped our fist, and we can equip our dagger again, and it'll work. Alright, another issue you probably noticed throughout the video is that there's sort of like a lag spike whenever you equip and unequip your weapons. So we will address that now. Okay, so we could probably say something like, if name is not equal to current item.value, then we want to stop. Otherwise, we just play the animation, like so. And we can say if not, or if anim.is playing, then we want to stop it. Otherwise, we just don't do anything. And we can say if not anim.is playing, then we display the animation like so. And we can remove this line as well. Similarly in here, we can say if name is not equal to current run value, then we can remove these lines up here. And we can say if anim.is playing, then anim stop 0.3. Otherwise, we'll say else. If the name is equal to the current run, then we can say if not anim.is playing, then anim play. And we can remove this right here. And that should work. So I also want to note the reason for the bug, or the little lag spike that you see. So if we press Ctrl Z all the way, you'll notice that we're not checking for if the animation is playing or not. So essentially what this is doing is that we are constantly stopping the animation, like in a consecutive manner, without checking if it's actually playing or not. So by adding in the if animation that is playing, it ensures that this little method only runs once. Same with this right here. This method should only run once. So if you play the game, let's see if that issue is fixed now. We equipped our items. Let's go ahead and move these over a little bit. The lag spike is still happening. Alright, so little cut from the original video. So I was mid-editing and I realized that the issue with the lag wasn't the script. It was because I had a camera system called Irium, which essentially just causes your the Irium webcam just causes your whole game to skip frames. So yeah, that solution's fixed now, and it wasn't an issue with the code, it was just an issue with my webcam that I had installed. So yeah, back in the game you'll see that it's a flawless transition, there's no frozen skipped frames or anything like that. And yeah, that's back to the original video. Now if we go ahead and unequip all of our weapons, you're gonna notice that all the weapons do get destroyed. And if we go ahead and equip all the weapons again, you'll see that everything works fine. Also, okay, now we're in the sort of bug fixes part of the combat system. So this is also gonna be a part of this episode. And one thing you'll notice is that when we're blocking, you'll notice that when you switch weapons, the animations don't change. Because you'll see that, okay, this is obviously gonna be Katana, Dagger should be that, and Fist should be this. And another thing you'll note is that if I press Control, you just stop blocking, which we don't really want that. So let's get into that bug fix part. So the first thing we'll do is do the control thing, the block thing. So in here we can just change this to left control, and we can also change this to right control. Because the reason this was being affected before was because we had left shift as shift lock, and shift lock counts as an is typing thing. So if we do it like that, then it should be fine. So let's exit, or let's go ahead and play the game in here. And you'll notice that if you equip the weapon and press Control while you're blocking, it doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's good. Alright, now for the next issue we had was the block animations not playing the new ones. So in order to fix that, we can go over here to our blocking, and we can say, okay, if not character find for child tool, we can add on this part. And so if we find the tool, then we can say local tool name equals character find, or local tool is equal to character find with child, which is a tool. And we can say local weapon name equals tool get attribute weapon name, or whatever, or tool.name, my fault. Tool.name. So we can say tool name. Alright, and if you recall in the comment system, our blocking value also has a thing called weapon name for an attribute. So we can check for our blocking status. Find for child blocking. We can say if blocking status, then local weapon name, or local weapon name equals blocking status get attribute weapon name. And we can say if weapon name is not equal to tool name, then we want them to stop blocking. So we can say remote stop block fire server false, like so. And we'll just return this line. So essentially what this is saying is that, okay, if we find a weapon or our blocking status weapon is not equal to the current weapon we have, we want them to unblock. And we want the weapon or the block animation to be updated to the new one. So if I play the game and I go in here and equip, we block, and if we change it to our sword, you'll see that the animation does in fact get updated, like so. And you notice that they unblock whenever they change, and yeah, that's going to be that fix. Alright, another issue we had is the block break thing. So you notice that when you get block broken, you notice that the block animation still plays. So we want to fix it. So yeah, let's do that. And let's go to Studio. So in order to fix that little issue, we can go over here and we can check for if the player is stunned or not. So in here, we can say if, let's go up here and check. Okay, so we can say if not can block, then we want to return, and we want to say remote stop block fire server false. So for example, this is for if you're stunned or anything like that, or your guard broken in this case. So we can go over here and say block broken. Then we want them to stop blocking, and we want them to be stunned for a substantial amount of time. So now if we publish the game, I will see y'all in the game and I'll show you the fix. So now that I'm in game and I have my friend join me to test, you can see that, okay, block. Alright, so if not can block, the reason that this is sort of broken is because we have the blocking status in here called blocking. So it's essentially whenever you block, the status is automatically added and it's removed at the same time because you don't want to do that, or you don't want to block and unblock. So we can remove that and we can check for the can block. So we can say if not can block, and we can say and status folder or we can say or status folder find without blocking. Then similarly in here we can say or status folder find without blocking, and in here we can say we can keep it the same thing. So now if we publish the game, alright, now that I'm in the game, you can see that if we try to block now, you'll notice that the blocking animation does in fact change, and when you get block broken, you'll notice that you can't block again, like so. So that's good. So now if you block, you notice that my block animation stops playing and I'm stunned for a while. So yeah, that's what we want. And you see that the block animations actually are fixed now. You notice that the block shrug animation plays and I stop blocking when I'm block broken. And yeah, that's it. Alright, so another thing you'll notice, as somebody commented in my other video, was that the block break wasn't working. As in this animation, the block break animation wasn't actually working for other players. So the reason for this is because we didn't actually load the character animations into the player. And as you can see in the block dummy, we did load the character animations. So one way we can do that is going to our combat system, and we can say local core folder, character wait for child core. And we can put this in a separate thread so it doesn't yield. And then we can say local animations module equals require core folder dot animations, like so. And then we can say animation modules.loadAnims, and we can load our character or our assets.animation.character, like so. And now we can print our loaded animations, like so. Let's go over here and alright, so the reason this errored was because we forgot to add in our animator argument. So we can say humanoid.animator. And if we play the game, you'll see that the block break is actually loaded now. So that should allow, well, that will allow the character to play the block break animation when they are block broken. So let me get in game and test with one of my friends, and I'll see y'all. Alright, now I'm in game. So if I get block broken, you see that the block break animation actually plays. So yeah, that's what we want. And let's try it again. I'm gonna try it on him. And you'll see that the block break animation plays. And yeah, that's the fix for that one. Alright, so I believe that's gonna wrap up pretty much episode 7. Mainly today we focused on adding in new weapons and mostly just value changing. So I recommend for y'all to just mess around with the values once y'all completely added it in, if y'all want to, and just see how the animations work with each other. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Episode 8 will focus on adding in mobile and controller compatibility to the game, and it'll probably be, or most likely be, the last episode of the whole series. So yeah.